what will hopefully be a quiet and peaceful evening in Israel. Not likely, but this is what we are hoping for. Good afternoon, good noon in the East Coast, and good morning in the West Coast. And thank you so much for being here with us. For those of you who are joining again from yesterday, and for those new that have joined today, this is going to be a daily briefing that we are providing from the ground in Israel, the on-ground perspective in Israel of what is happening in general and what is happening with the Jewish National Fund USA efforts and activities, and what we call the Jewish National Fund family in Israel, what we are doing and what we have been up to and what we're going to continue doing. I would like to start with a bit of a personal brief. As you can see, I'm not in my, for those who know me, this is not my my standard attire, not anymore. It used to be, but not so much anymore. And I've been called up to reserve duty in the IDF. And I made one request when I was called, and I told my commander, I said, General, of course, consider it done. I only have one request, that I am scheduled to speak with our Jewish National Fund family this evening. And I ask that I be able to make this call. And I said that what we are doing, what the Israel Defense is doing, what Israel is doing now on a national level, our efforts, as important as they are, they're not standalone. And as we are now, I just came from a briefing planning the some of the military operations that we are about to embark upon. I said there's another effort happening in parallel that is equally important. We have a broad, vast, dear family of supporters throughout the United States. It's called Jewish National Fund USA. And this is our strategic backbone. And the importance of the work that we do with Jewish National Fund USA every day on the ground in Israel, and the relationship that we have with these people is that as important as the tanks and the planes and the military operations that we are to embark upon. So here I am. This is going to be my second and my last update that I'm going to be giving in person for the next, for the foreseeable, certainly the next couple of weeks or so. However, we are not stopping. Jewish National Fund in Israel is not stopping, and the rest of the team here, you know them all, are going to keep up the work on your behalf, on behalf of the leadership, the friends and family of Jewish National Fund USA, and our partners throughout the United States. They're going to continue the work, and they're going to continue providing you with these updates daily, together with various affiliates from the ground in Israel. We're going to have these Zooms call, are going to continue. We're going to have written briefings, and we're going to keep you up to speed with everything that we are doing on your behalf constantly. We have two guest speakers tonight that I will call upon soon. However, as promised, I want to first provide two updates. One is what is happening in Israel in general right now. There's a lot of news, a lot of noise, some of it fake, some of it not. But very briefly, just to give a general idea, because we want to keep these updates brief. And then I want to speak more importantly about what Jewish National Fund USA is doing about it, because we are doing a heck of a lot together with all our affiliates across this country. So I would like to start off and say that what we have experienced in less than 2 days, these less than 48 hours, about 40 hours, what we are experiencing in Israel on a national level is unprecedented. Okay, we're talking about 1,100 rockets and counting that have been fired into Israeli territory. The IDF is retaliating, and trust me when I say it is just the beginning. There's more to come, but we retaliated with 500 targeted strikes, including to some very senior Hamas and other terrorist organizations, senior personnel and intelligence community. And there's a lot of that to come. But like I said, that is one effort happening in parallel to some other efforts, which we are responsible for at Jewish National Fund, and that's what I want to focus on. So we have many partners across the board in Israel who have been impacted. There are those that are in need, and there are those who are able to provide that support and assistance. That's what we have been up to tirelessly over the past, over the past years and years, but certainly over the past 48 hours, there's been a significant ramp up of that. So first of all, we have our Gaza Envelope communities, the communities that are dear to us, the Eshkol region, the Shar HaNegev region, the Halutza regions, our dear, dear friends and wonderful communities that we work with day in, day out. And before I even say a word about what we are doing with them, I want to emphasize something. This is not an emergency campaign. Jewish National Fund USA has always been there. We've always stood by these communities for years now. And it's not that we woke up now because there are rockets flying. And the secret that you're all in on is even when the rockets stop, and hopefully they're going to stop very soon, and we're going to take care and make sure that they're going to stop soon, we're going to continue being there. And the reason is because we're not in the deal of emergency campaigns. Of course, it's family. And when there's a crisis in the family, we all rally, we come together and we help and assist and support and we provide whatever that they need. But it's family, and family doesn't disappear the day after the crisis is over. We are always there. And the reason right now that these communities are holding up is also because of they are brave and they are strong and they are steadfast and they are everything that the optimism and the growth and the catalyst for demographic change that we always work on, Jewish National Fund USA and all our partners on the ground in Israel. The reason that they are so strong is because they do all of that, yet it is also because of the support that we have provided them for years. And I don't want to know, I wouldn't want to imagine or think what these communities will look like, what their situation would be in right now had it not been for our support for years and years and years. The bomb shelters that they are in right now is thanks to Jewish National Fund USA. The firefighting equipment and trucks and stations are thanks to Jewish National Fund USA. The fortified children's kingdom and the fortified playground and the sheltered areas outdoors and indoors are thanks to Jewish National Fund USA. And the Housing Development Fund, the people who have come down to live there and staying there right now. And on and on and on, the dairy that we're working on, the aquatic center that we're working on in the Gaza Envelope, all these things that are up and coming are the catalyst that drove all those people to come there. And that's why they are staying there despite the rockets. So it is true that in the past few days, they have been bearing the brunt of this. They are on the front lines. They are, literally speaking, in the line of fire. And hundreds of these rockets and mortars have been targeted at them. Yet they are strong. We're speaking to them constantly, and we're providing support in any way that we can. We have our Green Horizons organization working with them to support, give them respite, take them out of there. We're going to be moving families out of there to get a break, those who have children, who need a break, who need some fresh air, and to get out of this reality for a few days. And we are working together with the regional councils, with Michal Uziyahu and Ophir Lipstein, the mayor who spoke yesterday, and all our dear friends there. The government is going to help, but it's not going to be enough. And we're going to provide subsidies for these people. It will probably be about $200 a family or so. That's going to be part of our campaign to give these people a break. We have all the heritage sites, some 50 heritage sites, another partner of Jewish National Fund that is opening all the sites for the people of this region. We're going to get back there in a moment. We're also going to have a speaker from that region in a moment, who you all know very well. I want to move now to another region of ours. We're not going to be able to cover anything. I'm just selecting a few of them. We have the Western Galilee Now. We called all the Western Galilee Now members. Now, regardless of what demographic they come from, what nationality they come from, we're speaking to Jews, we're speaking to Arabs, we're speaking to everyone and lending support, and they appreciate it tremendously. We have some sad stories. We have some heartbreaking stories. Our visitors center in Akko has been severely damaged, heavily damaged. It is true. But I want to say something. It was targeted for a reason. And the businesses of our dear, dear friend, Uri Eremias, you all know from the Effendi Hotel and the Uri Buri restaurant, a dear friend of Jewish National Fund, his businesses were targeted as well. But most of the other locations were not. And the reason they were targeted is because few and far between there are those who are trying to harm and fight the cause that we stand as a beacon for and we promote, the coexistence, the beauty, the relationship, everything that we have been building for all these years. So the few can make a lot of trouble and a lot of distraction for the many but we are remaining focused. And everywhere that they cause this damage, we're going to come back and we're going to build it bigger and better. And we're going to continue doing so. We're going to clean up the center, and it's going to be nicer than ever. We have a Negev. They've all moved into safe rooms. However, we're trying to keep as best we can those with special needs to be in a safe and normal environment that they're familiar with as much as possible. Of course, staff is remaining at home. Anyone affiliated with Jewish National Fund USA, we said, folks, stay at home, stay safe. Our number one target right now is to make sure that everyone comes out of this unscathed, and we will go back to resume our building once it is behind us. But I want to say again, what we're going to do now, our efforts right now, some of it will mobilize very quickly, and we're going to see the results immediately on the ground. Whatever additional fire wagons we have to provide, we're going to do right now. Whatever additional bomb shelters we could open up, we're going to do right now. But at the end of the day, what we do now are the results that we're going to see for years to come. And same as I said, that what we do now is thanks for everything. We are reaping what we sowed in past years, all the investments that we made in past years. That is what's keeping people safe now. Our efforts now are going to be there for them for years to come. Hopefully we won't need all of it. We'll need the dairy. We will need the pool. Hopefully we won't need the bomb shelters. I don't know. But they will have it should they need it. And that is thanks to the efforts that we are applying right now. Now we're making the investment for the next times to come. I want to acknowledge our national president, Dr. Saul Lizzerbram, who convened an executive committee immediately yesterday. And he gave the directive that whatever is needed on a national scale to the Jewish National Fund affiliates and beyond, we're going to do it. I've had multiple conversations with Russell Robinson, our CEO, who was here just a week ago under completely different circumstances. We spoke about growth and about initiatives and the next steps. I've since then, in the past 48 hours, had multiple conversations with him. And the answer is whatever is needed, it is yes. When I said, Russell, we're having issues in the Gaza envelope, we need to get the families to get a break elsewhere, he said, whatever it takes, the answer is yes, do it. I want to acknowledge our leadership for this support. I cannot convey to you in words the significance and the importance of this support, what it does for Israel, what it does for our affiliates across the board. I'll share another personal story we had earlier today. I convened all of our affiliates, some 40 organizations representing hundreds of people, representing dozens of people. You know most of these organizations. We came together for what I call the group huddle of Jewish National Fund USA in Israel. We cried together. We virtually hugged and embraced each other together. And they all said, this is what gives us the strength to continue with our work and what we are doing. We did this for almost a year and a half with the COVID. We mobilized on a national level, and we had national impact. I think close to 1 million people in a conservative count of what we have done for people with COVID. Now we're doing the same in a completely different type of challenge. Yet here we are again. We're well versed. We know how to do it. We know how to mobilize, to work in unison, to work in solidarity, and that's what we're going to be doing right now. Lastly, I want to speak to you as our leadership. And I want to ask that with your power, we bring tens of thousands of people to our cause because of what I said, because of the significance, because what this means to Israelis. Because believe it or not, yes, while the rockets are flying over our heads, yes, while the sirens are blaring, yes, while there's fire everywhere. I mean, literally, go to the Gaza envelope, there is fire everywhere, and our teams are putting them out as we speak. But while all this is happening, they repeatedly keep on saying how significant it is to them, the relationship with you, your leadership, and your support. So I ask that we amplify this. Let's bring our friends in. Let's bring our families in and make them a part of this conversation. I want to call upon now our head of school of Alexander Muss High School in Israel, Dr. Mark Shinar, to share what is happening right now on campus with our youth that we brought in 241 in another very, very significant feat that during COVID, we were able to bring these guys into Israel and for Mark to share what they're experiencing on campus right now. Mark, please, are you with us?
Thanks, Eric. I appreciate it. And on behalf of all of us, wishing you Godspeed and Atzlacha, good. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your love and just good health and safety and strength to you and to your family. On behalf of all of us, we appreciate it more than words could say, your service and your dedication to our safety and security. We are in an interesting space right now. Of course, when you're running a high school program with 240 kids on a dormitory campus, we have to really pay attention to multiple fronts, both the educational side of things as well as the social emotional side of the escalation. And of course, most important beyond all of it is the safety and security of our students. It's pretty remarkable. A month ago, we didn't know that we were going to be able to get our kids in. With the help of Jewish National Fund USA, we overcame an incredible hurdle, chartered that flight, got the kids into the country, and now here we are. And to be perfectly honest and somewhat frustratingly so, fielding emails from parents right now saying, isn't it worth it just now to send the kids back to the USA, to send them back home? And the answer is a resounding no. We stay in Israel and we are here. And I'd like to talk to you a little bit about what's happened in the last 24 hours since the escalation. I am speaking to you right now from my home in Modi'in. Last night at 9 o'clock at night, we had a siren here in Modi'in, which is not usual for anybody that knows the center of Israel. Modi'in generally doesn't get sirens, but Modi'in, Ra'anana, Tel Aviv, and yes, Hoda Sharon, where our campus is, got our first sirens last night at 9 o'clock. The students were all accounted for. We had anticipated the possibility, although in the beginning we said it was an unlikely possibility, given the fact that the center of Israel usually doesn't get this level of sirens. And at 9 o'clock at night, the kids, we have 4 different shelters located throughout campus. They are stocked with food, with drinks, with treats, with board games and cards and internet in each of those so that the kids aren't cut off and we're not cut off from the Madrichim. And already by 9:09 last night, all of our students were accounted for in shelters, calm and safe. We, my family and I, were in shelters. Our faculty all around the center of Israel were in shelters as well. We sheltered in place, where I immediately, from my shelter here at home, wrote a note, our first note to our parents, explaining what was happening and what was going on here in the country. The rule is basically you wait 10 minutes until after a siren is done. Often you'll hear the boom from the Iron Dome. Thank God for the Iron Dome. And you'll hear the boom and you'll know that 10 minutes after the siren, you can come up. But unfortunately, last night, you can imagine for 15, 16, 17-year-olds, it was, while peaceful and everybody, cool heads prevailed and it was calm and it was very, very, very comfortable. You can imagine the certain tensions and anxieties because the sirens kept coming last night. They one right after the other. We had multiple sirens in Hoda Sharon, and the kids really had to shelter in place and stay put where they were. We had, once that was over and that kind of round was over, by 10 o'clock, all of our students were back in their dorms. Parents had been communicated with twice, once when we first went in and once when we went back into our dorms. And then I'm sorry to say that, what time was it? Around 3 o'clock in the morning yesterday, at 3:03 to be exact. I know because I had to write that email too. At 3:03 in the morning, another siren. All of our students, ourselves, our families woke up back into the shelters. Today, we had a very quiet day in Hoda Sharon. It was not a quiet day in Israel, as Eric mentioned, but it was certainly a quieter day in the Merkaz. But we also had some trips planned for kids to go to Latrun and other places. We actually had a trip in Sderot today, which of course we canceled, and we kept the kids on campus. We have 2 day school partners that are here in Israel right now, Charles E. Smith Jewish Day School from Maryland. They happen to be in the south, about 70 miles away from Gaza, in a moshav called Chatzeva, where they've been volunteering all week They've been farming and swimming and doing kind of teamwork games and Israel education, Israel connectivity games and educational opportunities. They're, pretty safe and secure in Chatzeva. There are no sirens there. And those kids from Charles E. Smith Jewish Day School remained in Chatzeva where they were. Our kids from from the Milken Day School in Los Angeles, California, they're on the Yam Liyam trip, which is a 4-day from sea to sea hike. They happen to be up north this week. Also, where they are is not an area of concern from a security perspective. So our kids they're camping and they're outside, and there's 65 kids up north. We have about 50 kids down south, and those kids are well taken care of and placed and located where, in areas that we were not concerned about. However, there's probably another 150 kids on campus that were impacted directly by those sirens last night. Today we had regular classes, Israel studies classes, general studies classes. We did our Zionism seminar as we were moving into 1948, talking about Theodore Herzl. So we've done our regular classes, and those classes continued to go business as usual. And at the same time, we also did a lot of current events, and we did a lot of social emotional check-ins with the kids to make sure that they were doing okay and that they were feeling strong. And indeed, we are. I want to assure everybody, and I assure the parents as well, no decisions are made about our program in a vacuum. We don't open up the news in any given morning and say, oh, can we do this or can we not do this? Should we do this trip or should we not do this trip? We have direct connection to Pikuda Oref, the frontline command. We don't make a move here in school without direct permission in writing. We submit and receive direct permission in writing from the Israeli governmental authorities that tell us if we're allowed to go out, if we're not allowed to go out, if there's a curfew, if we can get on a bus, if we can't get on a bus, etc. It is all very choreographed, and it is all extremely, extremely protocoled within, as is true for all schools and all educational institutions in the country. We do not make any decisions by ourselves on our own in a vacuum about our program and about our ability to move the kids from place to place or to participate or to do a trip or to stay on campus. And so it is true. Right now in school, it is calm and the kids understand what's happening in Israel around them, and they're learning a tremendous amount. And in a lot of ways, and I don't mean to be flip about this, but in a lot of ways, it speaks beautifully to the experience of living in and being in Israel. There's a moment here for these kids where they can kind of latch on to this experience, and it is one that they will never forget. The flip side of that coin, of course, is it's tense and there's anxiety attached to that, and there's a great deal of responsibility of the shoulders of both the children and the adults to ensure everybody's safety and security. I want to move over and talk about Frontier. I saw, Nancy, that you mentioned. So our Frontier program, which is our college gap year program, they're currently located at BGU, at Ben Gurion University. They're in the South. Lisa Bitan, the head of the program, is with them currently. And they also had a siren in Beersheba. I believe it was last night. It could be this morning. Forgive me. My hours are a little blended. I haven't slept yet in a while. But they also had a siren. I believe it was today. Everybody again accounted for and well. And Lisa and Elchanan, who are their teachers, are with them, and their madrichim are with them as well. And they're staying put right now in BGU in Ben Gurion University for their programming. This Shabbat we have kids on campus, and we have kids in Yerushalayim, in Jerusalem, at the Lev Yerushalayim Hotel. We are continuing, and then of course on Sunday night and Monday is the holiday of Shavuot. So we are continuing our plans to have Shavuot in Jerusalem or Shabbat in Jerusalem. We're on campus. All of those plans continue, but as I had indicated just a moment before, they continue business as usual until they don't. So every morning, first thing, probably around 6 o'clock, 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, we go through the process with Pikuda Oref to decide if we can continue our plans for the day or if we need to pivot or shift our plans. But for now, our intention is to continue our plans to have Shabbat on campus for most of the kids, and to do Shavuot in Yerushalayim for most of the kids. And we will, certainly address matters as they come up. I'm communicating with parents daily. I sent an email just a few minutes before this meeting. I'll send another email again tomorrow. This Friday at 5:30 Israel time, I see right now rockets. Look at that. This Friday, we are doing a Zoom Kabbalat Shabbat at 5:30 p.m. Israel time, 10:30 a.m. Eastern, 7:30 a.m. Pacific. We'll send out that link. You're all very welcome and invited to spend a little bit of time with Alexander Muss High School in Israel students and their parents. We're going to say Tfilah L'Shlom Medina. We're going to speak a little bit about our experiences this week and our reflections. Hopefully we'll hear from our professionals and our lay leadership. And it'll also just be a very sweet time for parents and children just to see each other on the Zoom screen and wave. I know everybody in this day and age of telephones and internet talk to each other regardless, but just we as a community will come together and show our strength and solidarity as one community. So that is, Eric, my update for what's going on here at Alexander Muss High School in Israel. I'm thrilled to say that everyone is healthy, everyone is well. Our fingers are very much on the pulse, and we will continue putting one foot in front of the other as we educate tomorrow's leaders. Thanks for having me.
Wow, Mark, thank you a million times over. As you can all hear firsthand, our youth are in very, very good hands. Mark, thank you for your leadership. Thank you for the dedication of our Muss team. You guys are doing an amazing job. We all have our own families and our own homes, and to be juggling the two at once is truly art craft, but is the responsibility that JNF-USA has towards the people who have entrusted us with their most valuable treasures and assets, what is their children and what we call our future, the JNF future, and the future leaders that are going to be here on these calls in years to come, hopefully under completely different circumstances. We know that the kids, and we know that this is not what the families and the parents signed up for, but we will guarantee and ensure that we will keep them safe and safeguard them from any harm at all. So thank you, Mark, for that. Folks, it is true, the messages that you are hearing and seeing, if I had a better microphone, you would also be hearing as we speak. There are explosions, there are booms all around us. We are at war. Israel is at war. We're not going to sugarcoat this. But what I can tell you is that plans are for this to be decisive and for it to hopefully be swift. I cannot guarantee you, but we are certainly going to try. Going back to the Jewish National Fund USA message, however, again, we are focusing already on the day after. We are focusing on growth. And this is exactly why we do what we do every day. The mission statement of Jewish National Fund USA is to catalyze demographic growth to our frontiers, right? The pioneers of modern day Israel are the people living in the Negev, our southern frontier, and the people living in the north, the Galilee, our northern frontier. Through the Blueprint Negev and through our Go North programs, we are bringing almost 1 million additional people to these frontiers. And that is the message that we are focusing upon. That is why we are strengthening our borders to promise a secure future for our people who are moving to the frontiers of Israel. And that's what we are doing and what we are focusing on right now. So with no further ado, yesterday, we had two dear friends here. One is Michaelson, who is the Jewish National Fund Liaison to the Eshkol region abutting the Gaza Envelope from the south. And the other regional council, Shinar HaNegev, we had the mayor, Ophir Libstein, both give their perspectives on what we are doing right now with them. I want to give now the floor to another dear, dear friend of ours, which is probably our third piece when it comes to the communities in that frontier region. And as of course, the Halutza, the region of Halutza, we have Yedidya Harush, our dear friend, the Jewish National Fund USA liaison to the Halutza communities. Yedidya, are you with us?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Well, okay.
It's good. It's
Okay.
good.
Thank you. Hi, Eric. Hi, everyone. I apologize for not having a computer and a proper way to also see you. I was on the way back from this afternoon shift, and there were a couple rockets, and we had to wait on the sides of the road. So I had to pull over in order to make it for the call. So I'm standing here in one of the junctions, actually next to happens to be next to a JNF painted shelter. I want to give you a short update from what's going on. Ever since 48 hours ago, when rockets started landing in this area, we got into an emergency situation where our schools have been closed. Today was the first day that they were closed. All the kids are home. The roads, most of them coming out of Halutza, are also blocked. There are soldiers in every junction. I don't know if you can see in the horizon, but behind me there are soldiers who are blocking the road. And if you are not from this community, then you're not allowed to come. You're not allowed to come. If there is a red alert, as I'm hearing a red alert here right next to me, I apologize. I will be back in a second. I'm going to continue to talk. If you can hear me, I'm just going into the bomb shelter. I don't know if you can hear me, but I have to be in the shelter until the rocket explodes. Okay, so the roads have been closed, and we have been dealing with different attacks of fires and balloons. I'm right next to Kerem Shalom, so I'm sorry. Every time there is a rocket, I go in, to stay safe. We go out and we take out the fires as the volunteer unit of the fire department here in this area. I can tell you that we cover ourselves. Large area of fields and forests and the different communities. Sometimes the rockets themselves, they cause fires. So between rockets and fires, we are out working. Obviously at night you go home and then you have, I have kids, I have 3 kids. So you take care of the kids. They're afraid, they wake up, they don't want to sleep. And so you find yourself spending most of the time up, taking small naps here and there to close your eyes. That's kind of the situation that we have been dealing with. You can see a smile on my face. Some of you may think that I'm crazy. How come I have a smile on my face? Standing in a war zone, just like Eric described. Behind me, there's smokes of the Gaza attacks, where the IDF attacked in Gaza about 20 minutes ago. The airplanes, the rockets. As I was pulling up, a rocket landed about 200 meters away from here. I wasn't even aware that it landed. I thought it was the Iron Dome, but my friend who passed by, notified me that it landed here. It was quite a large explosion. And I still have a smile on my face. Maybe it will help you, give you strength, because I know that we are part of a chain. And because I look at the situation and I say, Yedidya, there were 1,200 rockets. Most of them were launched towards central Israel. 1,200 rockets. You know what happened when one missile lands on a building and people are there? It could be critical. There could be hundreds of people that are dead from one missile. And yet we're standing where it's very unfortunate. We have 5 people who have been killed and counting. Several were injured, but it's still, we cannot look at the situation and not be grateful for the miracles that are happening to us. And remember that we are part of the chain, the Jewish people chain, and we are the strongest link of this chain. We are back in our homeland. We are strong. We have our homeland. We have our army. Eric is wearing uniform, and on my WhatsApp group, on my army unit, they are talking about preparing for an optional call-up. And I'm wearing the firefighter uniform, and I'm like, obviously I will have to go to the army if they call me up. But and I feel that I'm grateful to be able to serve our country and to be here, part of the frontier team. And you, my friends, may sit 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 miles away. and I don't know, think to yourself, what can I help? What do I do? You know, I'm sitting, I'm so far away, I don't make a difference. So I want to give you, it's not to make you feel good, but to share with you the truth. I get a text message. The only medical center to be open in our area is the Halutza Medical Center. Why? Because it's bomb-proof. Guess who built it? You did. When I take my baby to get a checkup, when I go to the dentist, you built it. I can continue going. While all the other medical centers are closed, this one is open. You helped us. I'm wearing uniform. I'm wearing the best equipment. Yet we're still, running to get more. Still not enough, but I'm wearing high-level equipment. You bought it for us. I have a shelter here. You paid for it. You painted it. I want to touch on one story. Yesterday, the artist Eliasaf, who's part of our bomb shelter painting project, calls me in the morning, says, Yedidya, I can't be home. My kids, they're all crazy. I want to do something. I said, yeah, go. I want to go paint one bomb shelter. I said, we have many to paint, go. He goes, okay, I'm going to go to Sderot. What are the theme? I said, we need the sports one. And he calls me up at about 1 p.m., which is weird because it's very early. He goes, I finished the shelter. I said, so already? He goes, yeah, you don't understand what happened. I said, what happened? He said, I started painting in the morning. And as soon as I started painting, all the kids of the neighborhood came out. They're all coming in the windows. They're all looking at me. They're all chanting for me. They go, they're artists. They're all like so excited. And as I'm, so it gave me strength and the enthusiasm to finish it quickly because I wanted to see the reaction. And when I finished the shelter, they called me up and I walked by. They all had tears in their eyes. They were so happy. They were so excited. They were so emotional that someone is there for them, painting, making their life a little better, making their life, their situation a little more smilier. It came out in an amazing shelter. Just to give you a small understanding what you are part of. Jewish National Fund, you are our family. It has been like that for the past decade. And guess what? It will continue for many, many more decades. I salute you to your support, to your partnership, and continue to support us, to partner with us, and always know that when you go to sleep, we are here continuing to fight and to live and to succeed. And this is always and only possible because we have you, because we have each and every one of you partnering with us. And you think I'm joking? You should ask Russell Robinson and Eric and the guys who came here and Sharon Joy, who came to visit us, the very few who were able to get in and to see us eye to eye and to feel our hug, to understand this partnership. The hug I gave Russell Robinson was for the 600,000 supporters who couldn't give me a hug, who couldn't come yet. I'm waiting for you in October to celebrate with happiness, with joy, and remember, Am Yisrael Chai. Remember, we are eternal. We will continue to be here, to grow together. Thank you so much. Toda Rabah for all your support. Continue. You make a huge difference for the people in the land of Israel, for me, my family, my community, and the entire Gaza envelope.
Yedidya, thank you. Wow, I need you to turn around, please. Yedidya, turn around. Let us see your back, the back of your uniform. Folks, the reason that I asked Yedidya to turn around is because I want you to understand that we are telling no stories. There are two things that I want to repeat from what Yedidya just shared. And with that, we will conclude. First of all, to you, Yedidya. Yedidya, you can turn around now. Thank you. Yedidya, I want to say as God, told Joshua as Joshua was entering Israel, and he embarked upon his own journey and challenges in Israel. And he said to him, Rak chazak ve'ematz, just be strong and just have courage. And I think that what we just heard from you, from Mark, is a message of strength, a message of courage, a message of optimism. And what I would like everyone to ask you all to take away from this conversation to be is the spirit of the things, the smile that Yedidya has on his face. And I want to explain what you witnessed here. As Yedidya walked into the shelter, didn't even run, he didn't have to. Yedidya and our communities there, the children, the families, all the civilians, they have less than 15 seconds, okay? That's it, folks. That is the amount of time that they have. Every time a mortar shell is fired, every time a rocket is fired, think about the numbers, 1,200 of them in the past 40 hours, all night, all day. That is the amount of time they have to seek shelter. The reason you see this spirit, the reason you see this smile is because of the resilience of these people. And you heard from Yedidya firsthand, we are a part of that mosaic, a part of that fabric. That shelter behind Yedidya is thanks to you. The fire equipment that Yedidya is donning right now is thanks to you. The resilience and therapy centers are thanks to you. Everything that we are doing right now is thanks to you all. So with this message, I want to send a greeting of may we have peace, shalom al Israel. One way or another, Jewish National Fund USA stands strong. All our affiliates across Israel stand steadfast. We will continue our work that we have been doing for the past decade, for the next decade, and beyond. Thank you all. Shalom, Laila Tov from Israel. Be well and be safe wherever you are.